So let's say your practice has a solid insurance coordinator in-house, right? So it's one person who comes into the office and is dedicated to your billing process.
Right. They handle everything. Insurance billing, claim follow-up, posting payments, sending statements, even calling patients when there are overdue balances. It's a lot to do, but that is literally what they're dedicated for.
Yeah. And so, okay, but imagine this, and it might not be that hard to imagine, right? So it's Monday morning. Your front desk person calls in sick. Your 10 a.m. appointment left a message and canceled. Someone has to greet patients.
Yep.
Someone has to answer phones. Someone has to fill that appointment. Someone has to confirm other appointments for tomorrow, for Wednesday, right? What is your dedicated billing person going to do? Are they going to ignore the live people that are coming in, or are they now your front desk person? Right? So also, what if that front desk person is out for a few days? What if they're out for the whole week? What if they quit?
All right, let's add this then. You've got $30,000 in outstanding claims. Your aging is past 60 days. A huge Delta check is there just waiting to be posted. And statements are due to be followed up on. Who's chasing those down today or tomorrow? If your billing person is kind of filling in for that front desk person, what's happening?
So that brings us to our real question. Are you trying to DIY your dental billing in-house, or is it time to outsource?
Yep. Welcome to the Truth Decay Podcast, talking dollars and cents with Sara Baker and LaRae McMullen.
So like we said in the beginning, let's say that you do have somebody in-house, or you're thinking about having somebody in-house, right? And so it's a dedicated billing role. That's what a lot of people say, that they're going to have somebody who's dedicated to the billing role. They know your systems, they know your patients, and it works. Okay.
Yeah. But they're juggling a ton. Insurance verification, submitting claims, following up on denials, posting payments, sending statements, calling patients, the list goes on, right? It's a full-time job and then some. We know this firsthand.
And obviously, full disclosure, like, that's what we do. We are at SD Dental Solutions. That's what we do. We're a billing department, right? That's how we know what of this
how
is.
much this is.
This is a really common conversation that we have, though. So that's why we wanted to do a whole episode on this, right? Because this situation is so common that we figured, like, let's have a actual kind of thing about this, right? And so because a lot of times what happens is, like, that person who's dedicated to your billing, who it's working, right? Like, they're good. They know what they're doing. But let's say they call in sick, or they go on vacation, or sometimes even worse, they get injured in some way, right? And they unexpectedly, because, like, sometimes they go out on maternity leave and maybe they're out for like an extended period of time, but sometimes it's unexpected. And unfortunately, they get injured and no one was like planning on that, and they have to go out for surgery, or they're hurt and they can't come into work for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, right? The whole process grinds to a halt.
Yep.
You know, your claims are just sitting. They are not getting followed up on in the way that you had become accustomed to. Patients are waiting on questions perhaps that they had, or statements are not getting sent out on a regular basis. You know, this person had a process, again, that was working, but they were the person dedicated to doing it, and now they're not there, and so the whole thing just is not happening.
Sure, it's kind of the opposite of the what we said above, or a couple minutes ago, where the front desk person's gone and that billing person has to follow in. Well, now your billing person's gone. If your front desk person fills in, then there's other things getting left on the table, right? So your
Yeah.
AR balloons because no one really knows what they're working on.
Yeah. And even when they are there, they're often being pulled into other duties,
Yeah.
right? So like we described before, when you have a live person in the office who is dedicated to your billing, it's super common to have that person be pulled into, because they're a live body, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got even one or two people that are in the office, right? Like a common configuration that we see is like a front desk person and then maybe like an office manager or a treatment coordinator, right? But if those people are both occupied and you've got your billing person and a patient comes in,
you're going to use them.
you're going to use them. That person is going to greet that live patient, right? They're going to answer the phone. And so the time that really honestly should have been dedicated to following up on a claim, following up on a balance, is given now to the current, to the patient, to the person who's there for their appointment, to whatever,
The one that's right
which
in
is
front of you.
of course, and that's so important. But again, it's taking away from the other super necessary part of the process, which is the back part, right?
Exactly.
Which is the following up on stuff.
Because that role never stays in its lane. If you're the billing person and you get pulled in different directions or you're being pulled into a different lane, you're going to lose focus. And billing is not where you want to lose focus.
Yeah, it's a fragile system. It really is. Like the billing system being worked consistently is the linchpin for thousands in cash flow.
Yeah, and that cost, it's not just their salary. It's benefits, it's taxes, it's PTO, onboarding, software training. You're probably paying 30% more than you think for that one person. So if that person goes out or you pull them to use them in another place, you have to have somebody fill that, right? So then you have to train them. You have to use, they have to learn the software. They have to learn the system that the last person was doing. Even if that last billing person that was dedicated to billing is either no longer there or no longer able to stay in that lane or in that position, you now have to train somebody on that person's really good system. So it's just a lot.
Yes, and what you just said is actually so important, because when that training is happening and when that shifting around is happening, things get missed.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen. Like, when you are training somebody and you're training them on real EOBs that you've received, right? Because you have to, appeals get missed.
Yeah.
That appeal is just a line item on a piece of paper that you have, right? And you have to kind of work it, in real time. But that appeal is attached to a claim that is attached to a real patient, right? Mm-hmm. So like somewhere along the way, that balance is going to come to a conclusion, and whether it's going to be followed up on an appeal, someone's going to be asked to pay it. And hopefully, right? And the patient is maybe going to ask, well, like, why do I owe this? And you're going to have to explain, well, here's what we did to try to get this paid, or not, or it's just going to get written off eventually because no one ever followed up on it appropriately. And that's not what you want, because it could be really genuinely owed, right? So the point is that with all of this shifting, with focus being pulled in different directions, like appeals get missed, timely filing windows get closed. Yeah. That's real money. When honestly, like, again, it's a system. Yeah. We need a system in order to avoid this.
So in our little scenario, we're talking about somebody just being sick or being out or being on vacation, but what if it's worse? And something that we actually see more commonly, what if you lose that person entirely, that dedicated person that's to your billing? Mm-hmm. Like we're talking about now, good luck hiring somebody who has the experience to jump in cold, because it's probably not going to happen. Even if they say they have experience, even if they've done this before in another place, every practice is a little bit different, and it's harder than you think to replace that person.
It's actually the number one reason that offices call us now for our services.
Yeah.
The number one reason used to be like numbers related. Mm-hmm. It used to be that our AR is out of control, or our insurance, AR numbers are out of control or whatever. But now we are having a hard time filling this position. Yeah. Or the practice owner it's someone's retiring and they literally like can't or don't want to take the risk of hiring and training someone and have them leave. Because maybe they've done it. Maybe they've done it and they've invested a bunch of resources into training somebody and then they leave. And then again, like there's all of this stuff stacking up and things are getting missed and it's just really chaotic and they want to avoid it. That's like when the panic sets in. Yeah. Right. All those time and resources like now gone. And so suddenly that's when outsourcing doesn't sound so extreme. And again, that is a little bit, this podcast is slightly self-indulgent for us because we're kind of introducing the concept that like outsourcing isn't all that crazy. It's actually a very logical, potentially solution for a lot of offices.
Right. And it's not just reactive, looking at turning to outsourcing. It's not just reactive. Practices who outsource aren't waiting for things to fall apart. Sometimes they're actually being proactive so that they don't ever get to that point.
Yeah, they want billing that runs, whether someone's sick or not, right? Like taking an extended sick time, maternity leave, someone got injured, etc.
Yeah, or growing into multiple practice locations. We kind of see that one a lot too. Realizing one in-house person just can't keep up with $200,000 a month in collections. It's so hard, especially if it's in 2 different locations. So outsourced billing can scale up or down as needed.
So let's get into the numbers because sometimes that's really what opens some eyes.
Yeah.
So you might think in-house is cheaper. Right? You might think that because ultimately, a lot of times that is what it comes down to. How much does it cost? I respect it. I get it. Like on average, you're probably paying somebody, $21 an hour, right? And depending, sometimes
on the low end, honestly, anymore.
Sometimes, right? Like sometimes offices are paying less. Sometimes they're paying more, depending on where you're listening to this from, right? And also depending on like what you're looking to pay somebody, right? I mean, you, and I mean this with all due respect, like you get what you pay for, right? Yeah. So there's people that have absolutely no experience in dentistry who are willing to pay who are willing to be paid minimum wage to just get their foot in the door, right? And then you've got people that come from tons of experience. I have 20 years in a dental office and they're like, no, I want more. To do this, right? But let's say we're $21 an hour, right? So if you run the real math though, it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, because that $21, it becomes more like $55,000 a year when you throw in benefits. And for that one person, just that one person. So what if you're doing $300,000 a month in collections? To do that job correctly and do it really well, if I'm being honest, you really need more like 2 or 3 full-time people. Otherwise, you're not collecting what you could be collecting. they don't have the time to be focused enough for you to get all those collections in. So we're talking 2 to 3 full-time people at, $21 an hour, but that's actually more like $55,000 a year. So you're looking at like $160,000.
For all of those reasons that we said before, right? Because we're saying like you could get away with one. You could. But for all of those reasons that we said before, you've got one person in an office that's busy enough to be doing that kind of work. Yeah. There is enough happening in the office where they are being pulled in different directions. They are absolutely not just sitting in an office talking to nobody, not having their focus being pulled. Like it's just not the case, Yeah. So to do it right, you're going to need multiple people. If they're on site, right? You're looking at up to, like LaRae said, $165K in salaries. That's not counting software, office space, ongoing training, the things that they need, right? Computers, printers, scanners. It adds up, right?
Now let's compare that to outsourcing. You pay a percentage of collections and or a flat fee depending on the service, but no PTO, no sick days, no drama.
And you get consistency. I mean, claims are submitted on a routine. Denials followed up on like ASAP, and aging reports do not sit for weeks.
Right. The AR stays clean, and when that happens, your bank account stays happy.
Another thing, outsourced teams stay up to date. Like changes to the CDT codes, like we're on it. Yeah. We know about it. We talk about it in our meetings, right? There's accountability that's happening that you aren't privy to and you're not responsible for. Like we are talking regarding your office and your support, making sure all of those things are happening on a regular basis, and you're not having to do that and manage it.
And your in-house staff can finally breathe. So instead of working on claims, they're explaining treatment plans, helping patients understand their options and potential financial responsibility.
Overall, like outsourcing can lead to a better patient experience. Like that's what I tell practice owners that call me and when I talk to them. And it can create better front office morale. Like, because you get to concentrate on production, filling seats, creating excellent patient experience, selling treatment plans, making sure that patients understand like what they could be paying, what estimates are, etc. And then all of the other stuff like we do, right? We don't have our focus pulled. We are fully dedicated to all of the stuff that you guys, like you get to just fully, everybody who's in the office, all of the staff in there get to just fully concentrate on the present and what is happening there. And we focus on, insurance stuff and admin stuff and like paper stuff and all of that. And it just makes it so that, the office gets to be very present. Yeah. And you can just kind of send us on errands, whenever you want us to look up something. And it really can create a very cool, present office experience.
Sure, because let's not forget, a billing team that only bills is always going to outperform someone who's trying to juggle 10 tasks. That doesn't mean we're better, that person isn't capable, but they're trying to juggle 10 tasks. And we are not only one person, but we are an entire team that works together that is only focused on your billing.
Yeah, such a good point, because they're not pulled to the front desk. They're not greeting walk-ins. We're deep in claims all day long. And like if I had to leap up and go assist, or if I had to greet patients along with working an insurance aging report, I would not be as efficient working an insurance aging report. But I don't have to do that. I can dedicate my entire day to working an insurance aging report from top to bottom, just like the hope is that the front office person can dedicate their time to being very present and working or, and greeting the patients that come in, right? So we get to dedicate and specialize our times. We get to whole ass our jobs instead of half assing our jobs, right? Like that's literally the whole point.
And that's exactly the kind of person that you want chasing down your money. Someone who is able to be focused.
Someone who's whole assing.
Whole assing.
That's right. It's not about outsourcing everything. Like that's not what we want. It's about offloading specifically what makes sense.
Yeah. And billing, that's one of the smartest things to offboard.
Yes. So let's break it down. In-house gives you hands-on control, right? It does. It gives you hands-on control, close communication, and immediate patient interactions. However, it is expensive. It's fragile. And it depends on human beings, on people who get sick, who take PTO, and potentially can leave.
Yeah, and outsourcing gives you consistency, speed, and scalability. You get a full team trained on billing, no HR headaches, and claims that don't fall through the cracks. But yes, it requires some clear communication and trust with the person, your vendor, or whoever you're outsourcing. SD Reliance, just saying, SD Solutions.
So listen, here's our reality check for you. Like just from us, if your in-house system isn't airtight and your AR is feels a little messy or delayed, you're already paying for that inefficiency, right? There is money that's not in your bank account right now that could be. And outsourcing just might be the cost-effective reset that you need. Like we've had clients that I've had for almost 20 years now, 20 years that have money in their bank accounts that, I think we might argue they would not have had otherwise. Yeah. Right. So take that for what you will.
Consistency of having that in there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not a silver bullet, but it's close, especially for offices that want to grow or stabilize without adding more stress onto their front desk.
Yeah. So LaRae, what are 2 action steps that our listeners can take right now?
Number 1, identify your monthly collections and calculate your staffing load. Are you under or are you over resourced?
Yeah, that's a great question. And number 2, set up a 15-minute call with maybe an outsourced billing provider to compare what full service billing support could look like for your practice. Listen, real talk. Give us a call. You could talk to me personally. You could talk to any of us here. It doesn't have to be me. I'm genuinely I've said this before, I wouldn't be doing this. I would not be offering these services if I did not think that this is the right way that dental offices should be set up in 2025 / going into 2026. Yeah. If I didn't think this was the way it should be, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't feel right about it. This is the way that offices should be doing it. So if it's not our company, find another company and set up a meeting with them and just ask them some questions, right? Like they'll probably have
ask a couple
find a few.
You might think you like one because of their cost, and then you talk to them and you really don't. So not every outsourced company is the same. So
that's such a good point, right? Like if it's not us, call a different one, call another local one, right? Like shop local. So ask them some questions, see if what they're saying, I'd love for you to call us, but see if what they're saying makes sense to you, but set up a phone call and see if maybe they can give you some insight into some things that you hadn't thought of before. But it's 15 minutes of your time. It's not, it's free. Just try it on, it's free to try it on. You know what I mean?
All right, Sarah. So what are our top takeaways for today?
So in-house absolutely can work. Like no doubt can work, seen it work, but really honestly only under optimal conditions with stable, well-trained staff and consistent collections. So it's rarely as simple or as cheap as it seems.
Right. And number 2 is talking about outsourcing. Outsourcing gives you a dedicated team focused only on billing, which means faster claims, fewer denials, and better collections. It keeps your office running even when or if someone calls out.
So ultimately, your billing model should scale with your growth, not break under pressure. And the right system supports your team instead of overwhelming them. Yeah. So again, food for thought, right? All of this is just food for thought. So thank you for indulging us as we tell you. That's right, baby. So thank you. Thank you so much. If you guys like what you heard today, which we hope you did, please send us an email. We'd love to, talk to you and hear about how your solution is going right now, your billing solution. Send us an email at hello@thetruthDecayPodcast.com or check us out at sddentalsolutions.com. Please consider subscribing to this podcast on whatever platform you are currently listening us to.
Yeah. You can also find us on LinkedIn, both Sarah, myself, and SD Dental Solutions. And we're also on Instagram and Facebook. So come say hi.
Thank you all so much again, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.